This segment brought to you by Kansas Grain Sorghum, growers working together. Find out more at kansasgrainsorghum.org.
And we're back again. So, yeah, we're in an election year. And
really?
In case you hadn't noticed.
Who knew?
Well, I had the privilege of working for Alf Landon, who, of course, is the former governor of Kansas back in the 1930s, and had many, many conversations with him. He owned WREN Radio. And anyway, there are a lot of stories about Alf, but the one that I like is when I first met him, because when I was in college, I worked a very early morning shift at WREN. It was from 4 to 6, and I got to read the farm markets, which was because I could read them. I had no idea what I was reading, but I sounded convincing. Anyway, one morning, about 4:30 in the morning, the studio was over on 10th Street, and it had an all-glass front. And there was this old guy out there knocking on the glass and pointing toward the back door. Well, I kind of ignored him. He pounded on the glass and pointed toward the back door. And I shook my head no, but he was insistent, so I went to the back door. And I said, "I'm sorry, sir, but we can't allow anyone in here this time of the day." And he said, "I own the place." I said, "Oh, Mr. Landon, it's you." So
what a great first impression, Frank.
Yes, I really made a first impression. Well, he had on this old flannel shirt and these old pants and this old hat. And of course then, because he used to get up very early in the morning and ride his horse out by the mansion. So anyway, then I knew to look for him in future times.
You know, another interesting Alf Landon fact is I did a presentation in Philadelphia to Mayor Nutter during the centennial or the sesquicentennial of the Civil War, from the grateful citizens of Kansas for all the things that Pennsylvanians had done to help make us a free state. And I talked about all the connections. And I actually cheated. I called Blair Tarr out, Kansas State Historical Society. He's a Pennsylvanian. He sent me everything I needed, and I put it in this beautiful letter, and Governor Parkinson signed it, and I presented it to Mayor Nutter. 7 of our governors, including the territorial period, are from Pennsylvania. And the last one was Alf Landon, who was born in Pennsylvania. So the connection between Pennsylvania and Kansas is tremendous, maybe more than any other state, quite honestly.
Now, another story, a lot of people don't know this, but everybody's seen The Godfather, and of course Marlon Brando. And Marlon Brando studied films of Alf Landon in his various ages. And so Brando, of course, put cotton in his cheeks. And then would kind of talk like this, and the mannerisms and all of that were Alf Landon. And especially the scene where he's in the garden with his grandson, the hat and the shirt and the pants and all that, and chasing him around was Alf Landon.
Who knew? I had no idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
True
and
story.
Of course, we're talking about Alf Landon because he is one of the famous Kansans in the gallery of also-rans.
It's a wall of losers. Tucked away in Norton's First State Bank is the Museum of Also-Rans, featuring portraits of the presidential losers. It's a pretty remarkable list. First up is Thomas Jefferson. Yes, he was beaten by his friend John Adams in 1796. Of course, Jefferson would go on to serve 2 terms himself, but his picture is a great reminder that you don't win them all. There are a couple of famous Kansans on the wall, Alf Landon and Bob Dole, both of whom our viewers will recognize. But there are others with Kansas connections as well. John C. Breckenridge was vice president under James Buchanan and had a county named in his honor when the Kansas Territory was organized. He ran against Abraham Lincoln and lost, but since then he served as general in the Confederate Army and as a cabinet member in the administration of Confederate President Jefferson Davis. He lost his Kansas County namesake as well. Breckenridge County was changed to Lyon County, honoring Union General Nathaniel Lyon in 1862. John C. Fremont was ironically defeated by James Buchanan. Fremont, the great pathfinder, is credited with securing California. His military expeditions were staged from Fort Leavenworth, and he crisscrossed and mapped what would become Kansas. He, too, had a county named for him in the new territory, but when Kansas became a state, and lopped off the far western reaches, it cut off Fremont County. Now there's a Fremont County, Colorado. Horace Greeley championed the Free State cause of Kansas, writing many editorials on the subject, and even visited Kansas, where he was injured when his stagecoach overturned. Even so, he still proclaimed in his paper, the New York Tribune, "Go West, young man." He too was honored with a Kansas county name in 1873, and unlike the ill-fated Breckenridge, it stuck, and the county seat became Tribune. There are others, including Winfield Scott Hancock, famed Civil War Indian Wars general, Hancock the Superb, who served in Kansas during the Plains Indian Wars and was defeated by another Civil War veteran, the ill-fated James Garfield. The Also-Rans is a fascinating glimpse into American history and just one of the many ways to spend some time in Norton. Check out their website for other attractions.